on, the wonderful, legendary singer and songwriter Paul Anka couldn't believe his ears when he heard the new Michael Jackson song, This Is It, because it wasn't new at all. Not to Paul Anka. He co-wrote it with Michael back in 1983. No one told him of the plans to release the song, and he didn't receive credit for co-writing it. So it's been a big deal, and here to tell us all about it is Paul Anka. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Paul, let's start with the good news, and then we'll go back to how it happened. The good news is that you and the Michael Jackson estate came to some agreement, and you're all done, and you're getting your share of...
Everything's been sorted out. I preface this whole discussion.
You're getting
absolutely. The right thing was done. Everybody is happy.
It was an honest mistake?
Absolutely an honest mistake. And we have to remember that.
So how did the collaboration with you and Michael Jackson start in the first place?
A friend brought us together in 80, actually, 81, when I was doing my album. I had Michael McDonald, Kenny Loggins, a group of others, and Michael wanted to work on the album with me, so we had 2 songs that we were going to work on and finish for the album.
This was one of them.
Yeah,
this was one of them, that's right.
I want everyone to listen because we have Michael's version of the song along with some footage from his film. We're going to listen to that first.
The new film.
Take a look.
This is it. Here I stand. I'm the light of the world. I feel grand. This love I can feel, and I know, yes, for sure it is real.
Okay, so that was before things are sorted out, right?
That's correct.
And this is the new concert that's been filmed.
This is the new film.
Okay.
And now for the first time, we'll hear the original version of the song, which you and Michael did together, correct?
That was it.
Well, this is the original one, audio that we have. We're going to roll some photos with it. Take a listen.
This is it. Yeah, here I stand. I'm the light of the world. Love you grand. And this love I can feel. And I know, yes, for sure, it's real.
So, same song.
It's the same.
You know, it's kind of ironic because it was originally called I Never Heard, right?
It's called I Never Heard when we wrote it. What you hear is they've done a nice job in the production and embellishing it with rhythm and strings.
But clearly the same.
Well, it is the same tracks, the same vocals, same piano.
But
Why didn't you put it on one of your albums?
Well, I couldn't, because once he didn't finish the project, I didn't have the rights to put it on one of my albums.
When did
See, this all surfaced a few days ago when they announced the release of the new one.
Okay.
They called me, I heard from the press, saying a lot of the fans wrote in and say, but it's not a new one. They said there's a song called This Is It that sounds like I Never Heard. I said, well, I never heard This Is It.
Right.
So they said, I was very surprised. So I said, well, let me get to the bottom because this has to be a mistake.
Sure.
So I listened to both versions. I'd already gotten a record in the 90s by a girl called Sapphire. So we played the 2 records, and I said, well, you know, This Is It is I Never Heard. I said, before you guys go after Michael or anybody, let me get to the bottom of this. Right. So within 2 hours after it all broke, they very astutely, his estate, they called and said, you know, Paul, there's been a mistake. We didn't mean anything, and I absolutely believe that. Yeah. And they said, what do we have to do? I said, whatever's fair. I don't want to hold you up. I wrote it with him, 50-50 down the line. In respect to Michael, let's go forward in a town where they eat their dead, Hollywood. Yeah. This got resolved in about 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
But there are...
You know, I mean...
Well, cordial. I mean, you know, once you feel people are professional and honest with you, it was the honest thing to do. Yeah. You know?
But there are recordings of that you did with Michael, and they disappeared?
Well, that specific tape, what happened, in the interim of us recording, Thriller was coming out. I don't know if it was Michael or those around him, but they did take illegally the tapes out of the studio. So I was, like, very upset about it, and I went to his lawyers, who were my lawyers. I said, why? You know, I need to finish this project. It almost got into a legal issue. They returned the tapes. What happened was Michael obviously copied those original tapes, put them away. All these years later, what's emerged is that we wouldn't be sitting here. That copy that he had in his drawer of my tape was the one that they used thinking that it was a new song.
What was he like?
He was great. He was you know, all of us in the industry, I believe that most of us need at least 2,000, 3,000 hours of mileage to get to who we are. You got to get on the boards and do it. And that's when he arrived with me, because I knew he and his family, they would come to Vegas, and they were very courteous, and I knew them when they were kids. But Michael started with me when he was 21. He was very professional, knew what he wanted, and he was just like a sponge. You know, he loved the business, and he wanted to be #1. And he was a very, very talented guy to work with. I've worked with a lot of them, from Sinatra to the group, but he had something very, very special. And that's what you hear. This was a very unique talent.
Didn't you spoke with him after the tapes had been returned,
Yes,
correct? So
yes.
what did he have to say about the whole situation?
Well, a few years later, I was in a lawyer's office, and one of the attorneys came in and said, Michael Jackson's next door, he wants to meet you. Well, I was still smarting a little, but I said, you know what, bygones. I went next door, and he said, Paul, I hope you're not still mad. I said, Michael, don't worry about it.
All in all, it's a happy ending.
It's a
and we're
happy ending, and yes.
It is, and we got to go now. We'll be right back, though.